Hey everyone, this is Laura with Laura Astrology, and I'm here to give you an update for December 30th, 2019 through January 5th. So this is going to be a shorter video. There's not as much happening this week, but on Monday, December 30th, we have Mercury in Capricorn making a trine to Uranus in Taurus. So Mercury, once again, represents our minds and how we think, how we communicate, how we talk. And Uranus represents pretty much all things radical, revolution, surprises, change. So with this aspect comes radical thinking or radical ideas, new and interesting ideas that are very much so out of the box. But they're still very doable and stable and realistic because this is happening in earth signs. Earth signs are very grounded, stable, are more concerned with security than some of the other signs. So, it's going to be radical and new ideas, but still realistic, still grounded. But there will be an element of speaking your mind, speaking your authenticity. And I would definitely recommend looking to the house that Mercury rules. So in astrology, every planet rules over a sign or two signs. And Mercury rules over the signs Virgo and Gemini. So if you're familiar with your chart, you can see which houses Virgo and Gemini are on the cusp of, and potentially some ideas or some changes might come about regarding those places. For example, with my chart, Mercury is not only my ascendant ruler, but it's also the ruler of my fourth house of home and family and where I live. And my partner and I are moving tomorrow and Monday into a new place, into kind of a kind of a radical community. It's an art collective, and it's pretty communal and definitely not your average place to live. So bringing in those Uranian themes and Mercury ruling my fourth house of home and where I live. So it's definitely reflecting in my life. So I would definitely recommend looking to see where Mercury rules for you in your chart. And Mercury is a little more important for me in my chart because it not only rules my ascendant, but it's also the ruler of my sun. And so Mercury aspects usually mean a little bit more for me, and maybe for you too, if you're also ruled by Mercury. So anyway, that's happening on Monday the 30th. And then we're into the new year. Thursday, January 2nd, Mercury makes a conjunction to Jupiter in Capricorn. So once again, Mercury being our thoughts and how we communicate, Jupiter being our beliefs, what we feel convicted with. It can very much so reflect our passions, how we go about acting on faith, or whether we do at all. And Jupiter isn't the most comfortable in Capricorn. It's not as free-spirited as it was in Sagittarius, but there will still be an element of inspired thinking or having inspired ideas. Once again, kind of still being very realistic and grounded, and even structured, since this is happening in the sign of Capricorn, an earth sign. Definitely a sense of having faith or believing in something that still needs time and age to grow, potentially. Speaking your mind, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius and can be almost, I don't want to say too convicted, but very kind of like, no, I'm speaking the truth, like it's my truth or the highway kind of thing. So we got to be a little bit careful because, speaking your mind with conviction could get you into a little bit of trouble, maybe even some conflict or hurting feelings. So be a little careful. But Jupiter is ultimately about the higher mind, about philosophy, about spirituality, and truth with a capital T. And so there will be definitely an element of wanting to engage in philosophical or spiritual concepts, wanting to connect on that higher mind level. And remember what I just said about Mercury. Whatever house Mercury rules, there could be some good fortune regarding that house. Once again, with me, it's my home. We're moving, and so we'll be in a new place that is kind of like my ideal place to live. So it's, for me, it's definitely good fortune in the terms in and with regards to home and where I live. So that's Thursday, January 2nd. Friday on January 3rd, we have Mars moving into the sign of Sagittarius. And so this will be a huge relief because we'll finally have all the planets officially moving out of Scorpio. And Scorpio can be very broody and inward. I mean, it's a water sign, so all water signs are focused more internally. And it's a yin sign, so it's just more, it's not as extroverted or like outward focused. And it can, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just excited for a change of energy. So once again, with Sagittarius themes being kind of similar to Jupiter, there's Sagittarius being the sign having to do with truth, with belief, conviction, morality, faith, having faith in something, being very big picture oriented. And so Mars representing our action, how we take action, our pace in the world, where we direct our energy, and how. So there'll definitely be an element of inspired action that requires confidence. And we'll have Mars here for about 6 weeks. So we'll definitely get a good taste of Mars in Sagittarius. But we have to be a little bit careful because Sagittarius is a mutable sign, meaning it's the end of a season, and all mutable signs can be a little bit fickle or potentially run out of energy because they can spread themselves a little too thin by saying yes too often. So just be careful what you commit to, what you say yes to. Don't stretch yourself too thin. That's definitely a possibility with Mars in Sagittarius. But so yeah, there's this idea of finally pushing your energy more outward and less inward focus, which is what we had with Mars and Scorpio. Which, I mean, Mars and Scorpio is a great combination because Mars actually feels at home in the sign of Scorpio and rules the sign of Scorpio. So there's definitely a lot of good that came of Mars traveling through Scorpio, but once again, it'll feel really good to kind of come from out of the underworld, come into the daylight, kind of maybe even take what we learned in the underworld of Scorpio and bring it up to the light of day where we can utilize it. Sagittarius is very much so associated with sports, with the outdoors, with adventure. So it's really a great time to do any sports, spend time in the outdoors, do something adventurous, maybe even travel. Sagittarius is definitely associated with travel, foreigners, going long distances, exploring, adventuring. But yeah, I would say the main component is this sense of acting on faith and belief, but be careful not to say yes to everything. So that's pretty much it for this week. Those are all the main aspects. And I know I mentioned in the last video that I was going to do a special video talking about Saturn and Pluto and what's coming up mid-January, and I'm still doing that, but it'll be coming up soon after I finish moving. But yeah, please let me know how the week goes for you, and I really hope everyone has a very happy new year and happy holidays. Okay, bye.